Welcome dear students. We will going to discuss on plant water relations. That is the unit first for the paper 7 for BSc SY student. You all know that water is very important to the living organisms, or water is called as life. Without water we can't imagine the life on the earth. Why the water is very important to the living organism? Because water shows some important properties, and because of that properties water is unique. Let's see the some important properties of water that makes the water is unique from other liquids. That first property is that water is in the liquid form at the room temperature. At the room temperature water is in liquid form. None of the other liquid that are liquid form in the room temperature, with some exceptions. It is best solvent for most of the solutes. Number of solutes are dissolved in water. That makes it is the best solvent. And in other liquids that are very few solutes are dissolved. But in water majority of the solutes are dissolved, and because of that water is the best solvent, and that property of best solvent is very important. That makes the water is unique from other liquids. Water is inert form with neutral pH. Water is inert and have a neutral pH. Water is the best transporting medium. Then it is also a best aqueous medium for all biochemical reactions. Best transporting medium, best aqueous medium, and that properties are very important for the biochemical reactions. It is essential raw material for photosynthesis. One of the important or significant properties of green plant is that photosynthesis, and for that photosynthesis the water is the one of the raw material. Water has shows high specific of heat, high heat of vaporization, and high heat of fusion. That high heat of vaporization, high specific heat, and high heat of fusion, that properties are also very important because that makes water is stable for drastic conditions, and that makes the very unique properties of the water. Water molecules have good adhesive and cohesive forces for the attraction, and because of that the long water column is prepared without any breaking, and that also a very important property because of from the root to the tip of the plant the water column is formed without breaking, and because of that the water is lifted at the top of the plant. That is some important properties of water that makes the water is unique from other liquids. The plants absorb water. The plants have some water absorbing organs, and that organ is known as root or with the help of root water absorbed by the plants. From which part of the root the water is absorbed? In the soil, deep in the soil, the roots shows four regions. We can see in the figure the four regions from the root cap to the base of the root, or from the tip of the root to the base of the root. The four regions are formed. The first region is the region of cell division. That region is present beneath the root cap, and in that region the meristematic cells are present. The meristematic cells means the growing cells that are continuously in growing state. So that is the region of cell division. Then next to the cell division region, the region of cell elongation is present, or zone of elongation. In that region, the cells are permanent and elongate. In that region, the cells are elongate and permanent form. Then next to the zone of elongation, the region of absorption is present, and in that region, the root hairs are present, and that is the region from which the water is absorbed by the root or plant. Then last, the region is region of maturation. In this region, the cells are matured and function according to the need of the plant. And that four regions, the region of absorption is the region where the plant absorb water, and in that region the root hairs are present. That root hairs, the structure of root hairs, you can see in the next figure. What is root hair? Root hair is the cytoplasmic extension of epiblema cell. Root hairs may be 1 to 10 long and tube-like structure. It is colorless, unbranched, short-lived and very delicate structure. It has large central vacuole surrounded by a thin film of cytoplasm, plasma membrane and thin cell wall. That cell wall is two-layered. Outer layer is pectin in nature and inner layer is cellulosic in nature. Cell wall is freely permeable, but the plasma membrane is selectively permeable. From the cell wall, there is no restriction or in or out, but the plasma membrane is selectively permeable. It permits only selective material in or out, that is the plasma membrane. The root grow deep in the soil. In the soil, the water is present. In the soil, four types of water is present. The water goes deep in the soil because of gravitational force, and that water is known as gravitational water, and that water is not available for the plant. Some fine particles of the soil imbibe water and hold strongly. That water is known as hygroscopic water. Root cannot absorb that hygroscopic water, or that is not available for absorption because of high imbibe force. Then combined water is also present. That water is combined with some elements or some other molecules like silicon, aluminium, etc., or it is hydrated oxides of aluminum and silicon, that is known as combined water. That water is also not available for absorption to the root. Then fourth water type of water is present in the soil is that capillary water. That capillary water is absorbed by the root hairs, or that capillary water is available for absorption. That capillary water, the water present in between the soil particles, the soil in between the soil particles, some form of water is present. That water is known as capillary water, and that water is absorbed freely by root hairs. Root hairs absorb water by three physical processes that occur sequentially: imbibition, diffusion, and osmosis. We can see that, or we can discuss that physical processes for absorption in next period. So we can stop here. Thank you.